They thought she was just someone easy to overlook, but the most powerful man in the room was about to discover the strength everyone else failed to see. The lights of the Chicago restaurant reflected softly against the tall windows as Olivia Bennett sat quietly at a corner table, holding on to the hope that the evening could still end with kindness. She was a black maid who spent most of her days making other people's lives easier, but she never believed her work made her less important than anyone else. To Olivia, dignity was not something created by money, expensive clothing, or social attention. It was built through honesty, compassion, and the way a person treated others when nobody was watching. Across from her sat a man who seemed unable to understand that. During their conversation, he focused more on what she did for a living than who she was as a person. He asked about her job, her income, and her daily routine, but never asked about her dreams, her passions, or the experiences that shaped her heart. Olivia noticed every word, but she refused to let someone else's limited opinion decide her value. Her voice stayed calm. Her expression remained steady. She answered with kindness, not because she accepted being underestimated, but because she knew confidence did not always need to be loud. A few tables away, Damian Park watched quietly. The Korean Mafia Boss was known across Chicago for his white skin, the tattoo along his neck, his perfectly tailored black suits, and the powerful presence that followed him everywhere he went. Most people noticed his reputation before they noticed the man behind it. But Damian had spent years surrounded by people trying to impress him, and he learned that real character often appeared in the moments no one expected. That night, the person who stood out was not the wealthiest person in the restaurant. It was the woman who remained graceful when she had every reason to walk away disappointed. Damian saw patience. He saw self-respect. He saw someone who carried strength without needing recognition. When Olivia finally prepared to leave the table, Damian made a choice that surprised everyone watching. He stood up, adjusted his suit, and walked toward her with quiet confidence. The conversations around the restaurant slowly faded as people recognized him. They expected him to act like the powerful figure they imagined, but instead he simply pulled out the empty chair beside Olivia and sat down respectfully. For the first time that night, someone looked beyond what she did and saw who she was. Damian did not see someone who needed saving. He saw someone who deserved respect. And in that silent moment, he realized true power was not about being noticed by everyone. It was about noticing the people everyone else ignored. The silence that followed Damian Park's decision to sit beside Olivia Bennett carried more meaning than any words spoken that night. People inside the Chicago restaurant expected the Korean Mafia Boss to command attention the way he always did, but instead, he gave his attention to someone most of them had failed to truly see. Damian was not interested in making a scene or proving his influence. He simply wanted to understand the woman who remained calm when others misunderstood her. Olivia looked at him with quiet curiosity, not because of his expensive suit, his reputation, or the attention surrounding him. She looked at him like she looked at everyone else, as another human being with a story beyond what the world assumed. That surprised Damian. For years, people had reacted to the image before they knew the person. They noticed the white skin, the tattoo along his neck, the powerful name, and the confidence he carried into every room. But Olivia noticed something different. She noticed whether his actions matched his words. Their conversation began with simple questions, but slowly revealed something deeper. Olivia spoke about her work as a black maid with pride because she understood the value behind caring for others. She explained that every home she entered, every person she helped, and every small responsibility she completed mattered because kindness was never a small thing. Damian listened carefully. He had attended countless events with people who measured success through possessions and status, but Olivia measured success through the difference someone could make in another person's life. That honesty stayed with him long after the restaurant lights faded behind them. In the following days, Damian found himself thinking about the woman who treated him normally when everyone else treated him like a symbol. When their paths crossed again during a charity gathering in Chicago, he saw the same qualities he remembered. Olivia greeted every person with equal respect, whether they were wealthy guests or workers preparing the event. She remembered names, noticed details, and brought comfort into every conversation witut asking for attention. Damien watched quietly and realized that her greatest strength was not something the world gave her. It was something she carried within herself. Later that evening, he asked why she continued offering kindness, even when some people failed to return it. Olivia smiled softly and told him that a person's character should never depend on another person's behavior. Those words stayed with Damien because they challenged everything he thought he understood about strength. He entered her life believing he had noticed someone special, but slowly, he began realizing that Olivia was helping him discover a better version of himself. The days after the charity gathering revealed something Damien Park had not expected. He thought he was learning about Olivia Bennett's life, but he was actually beginning to question his own. Inside his Chicago mansion, surrounded by elegant rooms, expensive artwork, and the achievements he had spent years building, Damien started noticing things he had ignored before. The Korean Mafia Boss with white skin, a tattoo along his neck, and a reputation that made people instantly recognize him had always understood influence. But Olivia showed him something different. She showed him impact. She showed him that changing one person's day with kindness could sometimes matter more than having an entire room know your name. Olivia continued living the same way she always had. As a Black Maid, she entered every home with professionalism, care, and quiet confidence. She never viewed service as something that lowered her value. Instead, she believed helping others required patience, intelligence, and emotional strength. Damien admired that because his world was often built around appearances, while Olivia's world was built around actions. One evening, Damien invited Olivia to help organize an important gathering at his mansion. He trusted her judgment because he had seen how naturally she understood people. As guests arrived under the warm lights and the sound of soft conversations filled the room, Olivia moved with calm confidence. She noticed small problems before they became bigger concerns, guided others with respect, and created an atmosphere where everyone felt welcome. Some guests first saw only her position, but as the night continued, they began noticing her ability to lead without needing attention. Damien watched from across the room and realized something important. Olivia was not becoming valuable because powerful people finally recognized her. She had always been valuable. People were only beginning to understand what was already there. After the event ended and the mansion became quiet again, Damien found Olivia standing near the window looking at the Chicago skyline. He admitted that before meeting her, he believed strength meant never showing uncertainty. Olivia smiled and told him that real strength often appears when someone is willing to learn, listen, and grow. Those words stayed with him because they reflected exactly what was happening. Damien entered Olivia's life thinking he was the one offering a moment of kindness, but every conversation with her revealed a lesson he needed. The woman many people underestimated had become the person who challenged him to become better. And for the first time in years, Damien understood that respect was not created by power alone. It was earned through humility. The evening at Damien Park's mansion became a memory that stayed with everyone who attended. But for Damien, the most important moment happened after the guests had already left. The large rooms that were once filled with conversation became peaceful, with only the soft city lights shining through the windows. The Korean Mafia Boss with white skin, a tattoo along his neck, and a powerful image known across Chicago stood quietly, thinking about how much his perspective had changed. For years, people had respected the version of him they saw from a distance, but very few understood the person behind that image. Meeting Olivia Bennett showed him that being recognized was not the same as being truly understood. The Black Maid had entered his world without trying to impress anyone, yet she had influenced him more than people who spent years trying to earn his attention. Olivia's strength came from something simple but rare. She treated people with respect regardless of what they owned, what they wore, or how others viewed them. As weeks passed, Damien invited Olivia to share more of her ideas for future community projects because he trusted the way she understood people. Some people around him were surprised that he valued the opinion of someone from such a different background, But Damien no longer measured wisdom by status. He measured it by character. Olivia approached every challenge with patience and careful thought. She listened before speaking and helped others feel valued. Slowly, the people who once only noticed her job began seeing the intelligence, leadership, and kindness that had always been there. Damien did not need to defend her worth because Olivia proved it naturally through her actions. One quiet night inside the mansion library, Damien admitted that he spent years believing his reputation protected him, but it also kept many people from seeing who he truly was. Olivia understood that feeling because she had also experienced being judged by only one part of her life. She reminded him that people are more than the labels others give them. That conversation created a deeper understanding between them. They came from opposite worlds, yet they both knew what it felt like to be seen as something incomplete. Damien realized that Olivia was never someone who needed his power to become important. She had always carried her own strength. He simply became someone willing to recognize it. And in return, she helped him understand that the greatest form of influence is not making people notice your presence, but making them remember your kindness. The connection between Damien Park and Olivia Bennett continued growing, not because their worlds became less different, but because they learned to understand the meaning behind those differences. The Korean Mafia boss with white skin, a tattoo along his neck, and a reputation that followed him through every room had spent most of his life surrounded by people who saw only his success. They noticed his confidence, his expensive suits, and the influence connected to his name, but Olivia noticed something far more important. She noticed the moments when he listened, when he questioned himself, and when he tried to become better. That honesty affected Damien in a way nothing else had before. The Black Maid who once entered his life quietly became the person who challenged the way he viewed leadership, respect, and human connection. When Damien prepared another important community event in Chicago, he made a decision that surprised the people around him. Instead of controlling every detail himself, he asked Olivia to help guide the planning because he trusted her understanding of people. Some questioned why someone with his level of influence would rely on a person they had underestimated, but Damien already knew what they were about to learn. Olivia did not lead by demanding attention. She led by creating trust. During the preparation, she listened carefully, solved problems calmly, and made every person involved feel valued. Slowly, opinions began to change. People who once only saw her as a maid started recognizing her wisdom, creativity, and ability to bring people together. Damien watched this transformation with quiet pride, not because he had given Olivia a chance to become important, but because others were finally seeing the importance she always carried. Later that evening, after the event became a success and the mansion grew quiet again, Damien and Olivia stood near the balcony overlooking the city. He thanked her for showing him a different way to understand strength. Olivia smiled and reminded him that change only happens when someone is willing to open their heart and learn. Those words stayed with Damien because he knew they were true. Before meeting her, he believed being powerful meant always having the answers. Now he understood that real strength sometimes meant having the humility to ask better questions. Olivia also discovered something about herself. She no longer wondered if her voice belonged in rooms filled with powerful people. She understood that dignity was never something others allowed her to have. It was something she carried from the beginning. And together, they proved that respect can connect two completely different worlds. The success of the community event became a moment that many people remembered, but for Damien Park, the greatest change happened quietly within himself. The Korean Mafia boss with white skin, a tattoo along his neck, and a powerful presence known throughout Chicago had spent years believing that respect came from never showing uncertainty. He built a world where every decision, every conversation, and every action had to reflect strength. But Olivia Bennett showed him a different kind of strength, one that did not require distance from others. The Black Maid who once entered his life unexpectedly became the person who helped him understand that kindness and confidence could exist together. She never asked Damien to change. She simply showed him through her actions that true leadership was not about standing above people, but about recognizing the value beside him. As months passed, those around Damien noticed the difference. He listened more carefully, appreciated the people working behind the scenes, and understood that every person had a story worth knowing. The mansion that once felt like a symbol of status slowly became a place where people felt welcomed and respected. Olivia continued being herself through every change. She remained thoughtful, humble, and focused on helping others, even as more people began recognizing her abilities. Recognition did not change her because attention was never what motivated her. One evening, while walking through the quiet garden outside Damien's mansion, he asked Olivia how she stayed so grounded after everything that had happened. She looked toward the city lights and explained that a person should never allow praise or judgment to control who they become. Those words stayed with Damien because they represented everything he admired about her. Olivia had been underestimated before, but she never allowed those moments to take away her compassion. Damien had been respected by many, but he learned that respect meant more when it came from understanding rather than reputation. Their connection grew because neither tried to control the other person's journey. Instead, they encouraged each other to become better versions of themselves. Olivia helped Damien see the importance of humility, while Damien helped Olivia realize that her voice deserved to reach beyond the places where she had once been overlooked. Two people from opposite worlds discovered that the distance between them was not created by their differences. It was created by the assumptions people placed on them. And once those assumptions disappeared, what remained was something much stronger: trust, respect, and the courage to truly see another person. The night that revealed the true impact of Olivia Bennett's kindness arrived during one of the most meaningful gatherings ever held inside Damien Park's mansion. The elegant halls were filled with guests from different parts of Chicago, each bringing their own stories, experiences, and expectations. Many people knew Damien as the Korean Mafia Boss with white skin, a tattoo along his neck, and a reputation that carried influence wherever he went. But the man standing there that evening was different from the person many remembered. He no longer wanted people to recognize only his power. He wanted them to understand the values he had learned from someone who entered his life with nothing to prove. Olivia walked through the room with the same quiet confidence she had always carried. The Black Maid who was once underestimated by others did not change because people finally noticed her. Instead, people changed because they finally understood what had always been there. During the event, Damien made a choice that showed how deeply he respected her. He allowed Olivia to present the community project she had helped create, not because he wanted to give her importance, but because he knew she had already earned that moment. As Olivia spoke, the room listened. Her words were not about success, status, or recognition. They were about kindness, opportunity, and the importance of seeing value in every person. The same people who once might have judged too quickly now saw the wisdom and compassion behind her calm presence. Damien watched quietly from the side of the room, realizing this was never about proving anyone wrong. It was about allowing the truth to finally be seen. After the event ended and the mansion became peaceful again, Olivia asked Damien why he had chosen to step back instead of standing beside her in front of everyone. Damien smiled and told her that he finally understood something she had been teaching him from the beginning. True respect means trusting someone enough to let their own light be seen. Olivia reminded him that he was the one who chose to listen, learn, and grow. Their journey was never about one person saving another. It was about two people helping each other remember what truly mattered. Damien found humility behind his influence, and Olivia found a larger place for the voice she had always carried. In that quiet moment, they understood that dignity does not need permission to exist. Sometimes the world simply needs time to recognize it. The return to the Chicago restaurant, where everything began, carried a meaning neither Damien Park nor Olivia Bennett could ignore. The same warm lights reflected across the windows. The same city movement continued outside, and the same quiet atmosphere surrounded the place where two completely different lives first crossed paths. Months earlier, Olivia had walked through those doors as a Black Maid many people failed to truly understand. Some saw only her work, but they missed the kindness, intelligence, and confidence that had always been part of who she was. Now, she returned with the same gentle heart, but a stronger belief that her voice deserved to be heard. Damien noticed that change immediately. The Korean Mafia boss with white skin, a tattoo along his neck, and a reputation known throughout Chicago had changed as well. The man who once believed strength meant standing apart from everyone had learned that real strength could also be found in connection, humility, and understanding. As they sat at the same table where their first conversation happened, Damien looked at the empty chair beside them and remembered the choice that started their journey. At the time, many people believed he was giving Olivia a moment of recognition, but now he understood something much deeper. Olivia never needed him to create her worth. Her dignity existed long before anyone else noticed it. The chair was not a symbol of someone powerful helping someone without power. It became a reminder that two people could meet as equals, no matter how different their lives appeared from the outside. Damien admitted that before knowing Olivia, he spent years protecting an image because he believed it was the only way people would respect him. Olivia told him that being truly respected required allowing people to see more than just the image. Her words carried the same quiet wisdom that had changed him from the beginning. Around them, the restaurant continued moving, unaware that a simple conversation at one table represented an entire journey of growth. There was no need for attention or approval anymore. Damien had discovered that influence meant more when guided by kindness. And Olivia had proven that a person's value is never decided by the assumptions of others. Their worlds were still different, but their understanding of each other became stronger than those differences. In that quiet moment, both realized that the most meaningful connections begin when people stop looking at labels and finally see the heart behind them. Years after the first night that brought them together, Damien Park and Olivia Bennett understood that their journey was never about changing who they were. It was about discovering the parts of themselves that the world had overlooked. The Korean Mafia boss with white skin, a tattoo along his neck, and a powerful reputation across Chicago was still recognized wherever he went, but people no longer remembered only his influence. They remembered the way he listened, the way he respected others, and the way he allowed kindness to become part of his strength. Damien learned that true leadership was not measured by how many people knew his name, but by how many people felt valued because of his actions. Olivia continued walking through life with the same quiet confidence she carried from the beginning. The Black Maid who had once been underestimated by people who judged too quickly became a symbol of patience, wisdom, and dignity. She never needed wealth, status, or approval to define her worth because she had always understood something many others forgot. A person's value comes from character, not from the labels placed on them. Together, Damien and Olivia continued supporting projects that reminded people to look beyond appearances. The mansion that once represented distance and power became a place where different voices were welcomed and respected. People from many backgrounds entered those doors and discovered the lesson that changed Damien's life. Every person carries a story deeper than what others first see. One evening, as Damien and Olivia looked across the Chicago skyline, he remembered the moment he pulled up that chair years ago. Back then, he believed he was recognizing something special in her, but now he understood the truth. Olivia was already special before anyone noticed. She did not need someone powerful to give her dignity. She only needed someone willing to recognize what had always existed. Olivia looked at Damien and saw a man who had learned that opening his heart did not take away his strength. It revealed it. Their connection was not remembered because two different worlds collided. It was remembered because two people chose respect over judgment and understanding over assumptions. They proved that kindness could transform perspectives, humility could change powerful hearts, and dignity could shine even in the quietest places. In that day, the world remembered what dignity looks like.